back to a CouchCon Talks. My name is Kat Self. I'm the macOS and Linux lead for Attack, and we are here with Santiago and Dimitri, or sorry, Dimitri and Santiago. They gave a talk earlier today about Latin America threat actors, and we're going to talk to them a little bit more. So, for those of you that are online, which let's be real, like this is what this content is for all of our online viewers to be able to connect with our speakers. We really encourage you to like tweet your questions or really use a Slack room. That's like what I actually have up right now. So if you're in Slack, tweet your questions for the speakers that we have here, and I'll be keeping an eye, and then I'll ask them those questions for you. So, first off, amazing talk on Latin America.
Thank you very much, Kat.
I so appreciate like there's so few talks or presentations out there regarding Latin America and threat actors. So just thank you. But why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's this gap on coverage for Latin America?
Well, if we look into the history, Latin America served for years or decades for many refugees running away from, I don't know, Europe and other countries. And it used to be like a place of calm, peace, and serenity for many. But in reality, it's a huge region with its whole ecosystem, attacks, threat actors, motivations, and usually very few security vendors and security researchers have like a decent insight into the region. So that's why we decided to come here and to present about that, to open the Pandora box, and to show the beast living in Latin America.
I love that. That's so courageous as well. Cause like what you all were saying, like there's a lot of mercenaries. It seems like a very dangerous arena to be open about. So I so appreciate that because I can only imagine like the spotlight that puts on you all.
Yeah, also I come from Argentina, so I expect things to not work. So I kind of, got used to, dealing with problems. And as Dima said before, we kind of go with the flow. But beyond that, we've been working on these campaigns for close to 10 years. So there is no improvisation on the research. We improvise in our lives, but the research is solid. I mean, we live and breathe what we presented before. So it was a long flight, but I think so far the conference for me has been amazing. My Twitter handle is Spontiroli, and he's Dimitri Best. And I'll be tweeting memes for the rest of the day. So
Because there's totally a meme contest.
Now that the presentation is finished, just memes.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I so appreciate that. So we're clear.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some great memes going on too. Also, you've gotten a lot of kudos for such an amazing presentation.
Thank you. And for us, it's such a privilege to be here. We feel so great, and especially, being surrounded by so many experts and the reception we received when we got here. It was worth of it. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
That makes my heart so happy to hear because I know you came here from Miami. I know that's a long flight, and I know a 15-hour flight from Argentina.
Yeah, but we were talking before. Like after 2 years of being at home, I was at home with my dog, just my dog. So we're brothers now. But after 2 years, you kind of want to meet people again. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and we felt welcome here. So thank you for that.
Good. I'm really glad you did.
Thank you.
So you're always welcome, especially on the ATT&CKcon couch.
Thanks.
All right. Is there anything that you guys want to kind of say to all of our viewers that are streaming today?
One thing from my side is we are releasing all the JSON files, all the things that we actually did on our presentation. And I consider this presentation kind of a rolling release because we will be maybe writing a blog post. It depends on what feedback we get, but we actually want to keep on developing this. So give us your feedback. If you think it's worth it, we will keep on adding stuff.
Absolutely, yes. And by next week, we will have our blog post also, like mentioning the conference, because this is a great conference. And whoever who's interested in researching together Latin American threat actors, we're here. We're available on Twitter, Slack. We can speak during the break, lunch, evening, and it will be very nice to work together and providing more a visibility and actionable intelligence to the community,
Mm.
with the help of the community and for the community.
I love that. I mean, like we're all about community here. But I will say, watch what you ask for, because I know Matt Malone already inside of the Slack room was like, "We're collaborating after this. Like, get with me after the talk." Same. Like, I have someone on my team that really wants to write like Spanish and Portuguese articles. So like we're very excited about that. So I will definitely connect you with some of our key individuals that are trying to like bring more awareness into that area as well. So
Thank you. Yeah, it will be our pleasure.
you guys are amazing. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having us here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So you all got to meet Dimitri and Santiago. And next up, we're going to be talking to David. David did a great talk earlier on Engage. So now we get to talk to him about what does that look like? Like how, actually, better yet, how are you feeling about the talk now that like you're done? Now you can relax and enjoy the rest of the conference. How do you feel?
So I feel pretty great, and also it looks like this is a Latino coach today, no? Because I'm from Spain, so
That's awesome.
Argentina, Miami, and also Spanish. So looks like
Miami is Spanish. I shouldn't probably say that, but I might, yeah, it's got the best salsa dancing though. So.
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, I feel pretty great. Yeah, I think the audience is great. The atmosphere is fantastic. The conference is awesome. So yeah, I think everything is fantastic.
Did you fly here from Spain?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how long was that flight?
Well, I went through Munich, so it was like the entire flight was like 18 hours. Yeah, but I needed to go through Germany. So
thank you,
no,
thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much for flying here. I know that's taxing. How has the time zones been affecting you?
Yeah, I still with jet lag, so I feel a bit dizzy today. But I guess that well, you know, today we'll have some party, so
Yes.
we'll have some fun.
This is the nice thing about being in the conference is that you get to enjoy all. It's funny. I was talking with some people yesterday, and there's the conference and then there's the presentations, right? These amazing technical talks. But then there's also just the connecting with people afterwards where you're like, okay, let's get down to real talk. Like, what are you working on? And then trying to like foster those relationships. So I'm really glad you'll be able to enjoy those. So when in your talk, something that you had briefly discussed was the active defense. What do you think the difference is between engagement and then hacking back? Like, what is that line?
So I think that's a very hot topic. Well, always have been a very hot topic because when we talk about active defense, there is like a huge and broad spectrum between like a passive defense, active defense, and as I said, I think then we have hacking back. So hacking back is something that only law enforcement and military can do, not like normal people or civilians. So when we say active defense, is more what MITRE Engage is proposing. So trying to engage with adversary, with the third actor, but without hacking back, just trying to collect information from the attacker, gather threat intelligence, try to force the attacker to make some mistakes, try to show their intentions, so try to deny their everything that they're trying to do. So it's not hacking back. So we are not trying to attack the attacker. We are just wanted to first detect that activity of the attacker. Second, try to impose some kind of cost, like about denying something or making life harder for the attacker. And then finally, we want to collect that information. So it's nothing about hacking back. Hacking back is only for law enforcement and military.
What do you think about the price of, like, I know some organizations, what they'll do is they're like, okay, we know you're in here, but we want to observe you. So we'll just like let you have some of our sensitive information, but nothing that really hurts us. Like, what do you think about like how, like, is there any advice you can give for people that are trying to do engagement, but have someone in their environment, they're trying to collect information on it, like when to draw that fine line or how to make those decision points?
So I think that there is a previous phase before engaging with the attacker, that is the planning phase, when you need to specify very clearly what is going to be your success criteria or what are your main objectives for that engagement. So if you define very well what you want to do in that planning phase, then I think everything will be easier. But that planning phase for me is one of the most important ones. So you need to define who are you going to interact with, because you need to know something from the third actor. You need to know at least intentions and the tools they're going to use, so that you are capable of trying to show something interesting for the attacker. But of course, then you need to create a narrative that will engage with the attacker. So depending on if you want to give that information to the attacker or not, that's something that needs to be defined in the planning phase. So I guess that the main advice would be focus on the planning, because not engagement is not only about technical stuff. It's about thinking carefully what you want to do, and then analyzing what you are going to do with the information you have collected. But the technical stuff is important, but I think it's more important to define everything in the planning.
So that reminds me of a saying, like, a plan to fail is a failure to plan.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
that makes sense. Is there anything that you want to share with our online viewers to kind of like anything that you, whether it's with Engage or your own personal topics that you've kind of found that you just like always want to share on and make a point?
So I think that one of the things that I think we need to change as defenders is that as I don't know, the red teams are doing, we need to create our own set of tools and try to do something more. So because sometimes we just I don't know receive tons of alerts from different security products, we just try to I don't know respond for every single incident, but we need to try to be more proactive. Perhaps trying to replicate many things that the red teams are doing, like be more proactive, trying to defend our perimeter or defend our data. So I guess that means that we need to change sometimes our mindset and trying to be more active. So I think that's the big advice I can do this way.
I like that because like red teamers are always like, "What's new? What's next? What's a tool I can automate this with?" Right? So I don't have to do this manual work. And then the same would go for blue teams.
Yes.
Where it's like, what's new? What's next? What's a new way to detect? What's a new tool I could develop?
Yeah, but the good thing is that there are more and more like open source tools or any other type of products that have designed for helping the blue team or the defender. So I think things are changing, but still I think we need to be more proactive from the defender's point of view.
That makes sense. No, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate your wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So yeah. So next up, we get to talk about insider threat. This is a huge, super spicy topic, actually, for a lot of different organizations. So Matt is going to tell us all about like how, like, so first and foremost, how are you enjoying the conference? It's the last day. How are you feeling?
It's awesome. It's been a great conference, and just it's amazing to see, because this is the first conference I've been to in 2 years, how well run it is, how everything's taking, starting on time, finishing on time. Everything's so well put together. It's refreshing to be back with your peers in the industry and talking and seeing what they're doing and learning more.
Well, thank you. We have an incredible team that's kind of behind the scenes. That's definitely running this and definitely handling all the stress for everyone. So full shout out to all of them. For the insider threat, you brought us some fantastic topics on like everything from how to collect, from how to go about it, how to build it out. What do you think is like, there's always like Big Brother that we always talk about. I've been in a lot of organizations where like there's even countries, right, that refuse to have their information collected, right? Like there's so many different topics on like, well, I want to have privacy, or I want to, autonomy, or like what is the fine balance between being a company that is trying to preserve their company, right? Because we like if the company goes down, there are no jobs, right?
Exactly.
So and then also like being an employee that feels with their privacy is respected. What do you think that balance is?
I think it's intent. You have to understand what your program needs to accomplish first, and you build towards specific objectives. And that's what, I think using MITRE attack has really helped us do, is say, we want to find these specific events. We're not looking to just collect everything and then be able to make arbitrary decisions. I think the biggest fear employees have with insider threat monitoring is that they're going to become the target of the company. That, what if they fall out of favor with leadership, or something happens, and then now all of a sudden, all of this information, all of this, user telemetry is going to be used against them. And that can't happen. And if you're at an organization that's allowing that, then you're creating more insider threats than you're solving. So I think the key is knowing where you're going to draw that line. And I think one of the successful ways you can do that is with risk-based alerting. And so it's a process of understanding where your risks are and then identifying what threshold you're going to set at. And so you're not looking at everybody's activity. You're looking at the activity that exceeds a reasonable threshold. So when you do a review and you're looking at this, you're not looking just to see, who's browsing YouTube videos or maybe who's hunting for a new job. Because hey, it happens. People leave good companies, and that's a fact of life. You shouldn't be punished or put through the ringer because you're doing that. What becomes interesting is if you are looking for a new job and then you're also collecting data and then you're also exfiltrating that data, that then becomes something that, hey, warrants a second look, not just specific activities. We want to see patterns of risky behavior. And so we can take steps to address the risky behavior, not just a one risky thing that we saw.
How early do you think that alerting should be? Because I know for some companies that's like by the time the data has been exfilled, like it is so expensive to draw up a lawsuit. It's almost better to just let it go.
Yes. And that's where working with your business partner comes in, understanding that line from legal, because I can't set that line. Legal and HR and your privacy teams need to say that, hey, here's where your boundary is. If a user crosses this is what we're going to do. So having those conversations before something happens with your legal and your privacy and your HR teams to understand that. Say, okay, well, what if somebody does exfiltrate data? What do we want to do if they're still an employee? What are our remediation efforts so we don't have to go to that lawsuit? Is there something that we can do where we just send them maybe a firmly written letter to say, hey, we saw this happen, here's the steps to remediate this that are acceptable, and let your legal team use the tools available to them to solve the problem. I can't solve that problem, and I think on the security side, that we can't solve those problems. Let's let our business partners solve them where they can solve those problems, and let's give them the tools. You want to solve it before they take that data to a competitor. And then now that competitor has the tools that they need to be, more competitive or go to market quicker. Getting involved, and finding those, we need the help from the business.
That makes sense, because I think that there's a lot of times we keep thinking like, oh, you just need to be a jack of all trades.
Yes.
But that really means you really are a master of none.
Exactly.
And like, especially with ethical decisions, I feel like that in and of itself is like its own specialty.
It is. And I think that's important with the Insider Threat Program. If I'm building a program, I shouldn't be the person making those ethical decisions, because what am I going to do? I'm going to make decisions in favor of myself and my program. So you need to partner with your privacy team, your HR team, and your legal team and say, hey, these are the things we want to do. What do you want to allow us to do? How do we build those controls in place to say, hey, we're going to build a fair program that's going to treat people with respect and dignity. We're not going to be Big Brother. This is the threshold. This is how we measure that threshold. And this is how we have confidence in that threshold, that when it is crossed, that it is actionable. Because, I think with employee monitoring, you can make one mistake. After that, your program's done. You lose the trust and the confidence in the business. And so it's important as practitioners that, we draw very clear lines and we set very high standards.
And transparency, right?
Exactly.
Like, I feel like when you find out something and it's after the fact, it doesn't matter how great the intent was.
No.
Like the way it was initially presented, like first impressions.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Once you lose trust, you've lost trust. And then your program is supposed to be bringing these, violations of trust. And if you violate that trust from a program that's supposed to be kind of the most trusted program, you have nothing to stand on. You're done. And I've seen it where programs get shut down because they make these well-meaning missteps and they cross the line, and that's it.
Yeah, I worked previously for a company where they were like, it's one thing to be secure. Like the company can probably take a hit, but our brand cannot.
No, you can't.
And it's interesting to differentiate the difference between how do you defend a company versus defending a brand.
Yes.
And it's a very different perspective.
Yes. And I think one of the things that is missed on the Insider Threat Program is, you're not only protecting the company and the brand, you need to protect the company's culture. So that's a big thing. If we're operating counter to the company's culture, that doesn't do us any good, because we're contributing to threats. If people feel like they are uncomfortable, that they're a target, that they're not free to operate and work and use their computer to, print zoo tickets for their family, day off, they're not going to do their best work. And we don't want to build a program that's going to do that, because I've done that. I've used my computer to buy tickets or do this or that because it's convenient and it's right there. And I would hate for somebody to feel like they can't do these basic things because they're being watched. I think that's a sign. If you were to poll your employees and understand how do they feel, doing some of these basic things. Do they feel comfortable or not? That's going to give you a really good indication of what employees think your program's doing or trying to do.
That is really insightful. And I really appreciate you reiterating the culture and kind of giving us some more clarification on like what those fine lines would be. And then also like how to go forward with that intent.
Yes.
So I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So excellent talk.
Thank you.
We're really grateful to have you here. And
thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for taking the time on the couch as well.
Yeah, awesome. This is a great talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to wrap up those were all the speakers from this morning. Definitely stay tuned. We have some great presentations coming up. Mine might be included. And we will be back for Couch Talks again. So again, we have this meme contest going on. So make sure you do I feel like I should like Saturday Night Live at like #ATT&CKcon, and then have a meme on whether it's how you use attack, whether it's your impressions of attack. But let's see what you got. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will be back with you soon.